It's Wednesday, more or less. No, it's a minute early. Look at that. The clock on the wall is a little bit fast, and the clock on the computer is there. Let's see. Okay, I have two chat windows up. Hopefully I didn't break anything. Hopefully everything is streaming. It looks like it's recording, so maybe I got it going all right. So what we're going to be doing today is continuing to work on our dungeons. There are a couple of things that need to be done. I was going to start on this. This is pretty cool, but I am missing a piece and I need to have a color consult, but I can show you what this is, and I can show you again later. In our Dungeon of Doom, we have traps. And as you know, that one, a wall looks like this. A wall on the floor. Well, if you walk into a dungeon and there's a trap, you just might find, you walk in and it looks like there's a wall, right? And it's just another plain old ordinary wall, except this one's not painted yet. But the DM might want to mess with you and say that you have triggered a trap. So what we have here is a wall with a removable wall. It's held on with a magnets, and you can replace it with this. And if you notice, there's a panel in the center with a magnet, and that is where the trap goes on. So in all ways, this wall is identical. Same, but then the trap is triggered and the trap comes out, and out of here is either a flame or a gas cloud. And those are little figures. Here's a flame. Yeah, you just got burned. Especially the one, I don't have it right here, where you're just in this narrow corridor. Okay, well, what are you gonna do? There's no place to go. There's a door here holding you back. You got the rest of your party up here. You're kind of stuck there, and the trap goes off, and boom, that's a problem. So these are pretty clever. Then you can get a flame or a gas cloud trap held in by magnets so that you can move them around without it falling apart. And yeah, that's how it works. There's two ways of doing this, actually, for the DM. You can set it up like this, where the trap is on the outside, and you rotate it to set off the trap, or you can do the full replacement of the wall. You have failed to detect traps. You have just set off a trap. Okay. Reasons you might want to do one or the other. This is convenient. Okay. You simply rotate it, and there's the trap set off. The downside is that it shows on the outside, and if your players can see the other side of the wall, depends on how you set it up. Like if that's facing away from them, they can't see it. Then they trigger the trap, and boom, trap. Flame comes out. But if they can't see the back, you have the option of using just a plain wall. You know, it even matches up on the bottom. It's really pretty hard to tell that it's there. So that's really kind of cool for gameplay. These are the last couple of pieces for the Dungeon of Doom. These are the walls, the wall options, including the trap options. those need to be base coated in the blue paint, as does the floor, but there's also one missing. I can't find it. It was Nikki and Alexis were working on it yesterday, inserting the magnets, but it is the narrow corridor wall, all this. So there's a floor with a wall, and the magnets traps are on one side of this. Okay, so that's your narrow corridor. You can't avoid the trap kind of situation. But this one, the base of this is just like this, but it has a wall on it. It is somehow, somewhere where I can't see it. So I guess we'll get to that later. What I'll be doing today, hopefully I do a decent job of it, is we've been painting all of these tiles, dungeon tiles, walls and floors and walls and walls and floors, lots and lots of them. And, you know, the base coat looks pretty good, but they really look much better when they're washed. And that darkens everything up and brings all the contours and everything to life. And so I am not very good at that. Nikki's much better at it than I am, but it needs to be done, so I'm going to give it a try. So I'll be using this dark gray wash, mixing it up carefully, but not upside down, because I discovered that this unscrews on the mixer. It's kind of a mess. So yeah, I'll be grabbing a fairly large brush. I know I think when Nikki does it, she uses this brush. I think I'll try this brush. We'll see how this works. You need to get it, want the wash to get everywhere, but not bubble up too much. Want it to be uniform across the entire surface. Good grief. I did like 4 touch-ups, right? Touch up, touch up, touch up, touch up. Trying to catch spots. And there is a spot. We're going to digress from our plan because things. I don't know if there's going to be enough paint in here to do the base coat on all of this stuff. Species. Let's see. There. No. Put that one further away so it dries before I do the wash. Okay. This is a weird day. Things are disappearing. There it is. No. I brought out my brush washing cup. I know I haven't knocked it over because there's a big water spill everywhere. And I set it down right where I wanted it so that I could wipe off brushes. And now I don't see it anywhere. Okay, this is going to be a day. So, this being the kind of day it is, I will do a flip and do another search. It's a pretty good paint cup. It's got oranges and yellows and blacks and stuff on it. Really interesting, bright colors. Okay, I'm going to have to leave you for a couple of minutes while I try to find paint washing cup. I'll be right back. Okay. There it is. Up close to water. Start with like a wall tile, maybe a couple of these floors, just to see how it's going. And as with any painted surface like these, that's where it needs to be. And if it doesn't go well, I will stop and try something else. And if it doesn't look good, we can always get some more blue paint and repaint these. So I'm going to give this a good stir. I like to make sure the washes are very thoroughly vibrated and mixed up, because there's a lot of solvent and not much pigment, and the pigment will settle near the bottom. Once it's really thoroughly mixed, the first half of the bottle will be quite dilute, and the second half will be very, very pigment heavy. And then you'll get an inconsistent result. We found that in the past with a little bottle of black wash that we just let set too long, and weren't able to mix it up well enough because there wasn't much in the bottom. And it just didn't work at all. We had to repaint a couple of pieces. So, dark gray, which is supposedly lighter than black. In the well there. I'm going to put on a glove because I'll be holding these pieces. I can try this on floors. Let's see if they stick. Yeah, that might hold well enough. I'll still have to get them off. Anyway, yeah, well, let's just dive in and see what happens here, okay? The wash gets down in between the blocks, and then I want to spread it around the surface as evenly as I can. As you can see, it kind of puddles up in the low spots, which is what we want, because that gives it a lot of variation. And I want to make sure I catch all of the surfaces, because if I miss a spot, it will really show as a bright spot later. Okay, when it's done. And then you can see the difference between unwashed and polished. It cools up in these areas between the blocks. That is just fine. We want those to be darker. Supposedly kind of a low-skilled task, but it's not. You know, pretty attentive. Can't really brush over it once it's on. Trial ball. Let's see how this works on here. Get it. Letting it puddle up if it wants to in the mortar joints. It used up. I should have that put out. And I'm doing this kind of, to make sure it gets into the mortar joint areas. Okay. Let the unevenness there stay, and I need to squeeze out a little more here. Yeah. So. Okay, yeah, well, just get a little heavy, and then stay on the holder. Surfaces. Attempt to set this down. Let me grab another ball. Here. So the directions that I was given was give this a medium. Judge medium. What that means is this is heavy, so we'll just brush that off until it looks a little more medium than it does now. This is medium back here. Pretty sure that's what they have in mind, and this was heavy, so that needs to be de-heavied. Yeah, gotta have the camera better, but the way it looks, the way I need to hold these. Okay, let's get brave here and attempt a corner. Be a little wash. I'm gonna hold it like that. A little wash goes along. in the corners of the corner. Yeah, we go through this pretty quickly. Yes. Okay, just setting these aside. This other corner, since that seems to be what's next in line. Bringing that from medium heavy to just medium. At least that's the attempt. Pretty absorbent. I'm glad I'm using this one. It seems to work. But it's especially good at picking up big puddles. If it's puddled down in the cracks between the blocks, I don't mind that so much, but I don't want it too dark on surfaces of the blocks. Sometimes it'll get really splotchy. So I'm going kind of back and forth to make sure it gets down into the mortar joints, and also so that it doesn't puddle up too much on the surfaces of the blocks. And it's okay to have a dark block here and there, but you don't want the thing to be overly dark. This one. This is the dungeon tile that nobody wants to go through. You know, the single file. You know where to go. The people behind you, in front of you, got you trapped. Oh, speaking of traps, the trap goes off. Unpleasant. Or to get the brush down in there, so I'm doing what I can. I'm trying to make it look fairly even. Couple more, and then I'm going to remix the ink. Just to make sure that the pigments aren't settling badly. I don't want that to happen. I think it's a little lighter as it dries, which is good, and helps maintain the uniformity that we're trying to get. Let's do the other one. I'm still working at trying to get, you know, the blottiness, the darkness. Just basically trying to keep the color even. And also trying to make sure that I haven't like completely missed there's some splotchiness on that one, but hopefully that'll be okay. Look, another corner. We have a lot of corners in our dungeon sets. Let's brush that off. Use what I've got on the brush on the next one. Hopefully what's happening here is what the designers wanted. Making sure they will tell me if it's not. We haven't seen we have to redo this entire set yet event, so hopefully that won't be necessary. I think I'm getting it pretty even. I've missed anything yet. Tried a new camera location at the end of the last stream. Yeah, hopefully that's working. Here. Keep plugging away at these. Keep the offsets there. This stuff takes a while to dry. You would think, if as much solvent is in it, that would dry really quickly, but I think it's a different kind of solvent. It just stays sticky for a little while, so you can't really manipulate the pieces too much or necessarily see what the finished product looks like that you've gotten into a little while. You'd like one drop more to finish the floor. Don't see any breaks. Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. It is moving along pretty quickly, and there's a lot to be done. So what I'm going to do though is give this a stir. Just give you a look. It's washed versus unwashed. And you can see the blue. I mean, the blue's not bad, but when you put the gray wash on it, it really looks like good stone. And the accent blocks show through, but they're not like bland. So it brings out the texture. These are basically identical pieces. Yeah, makes it look much more stony. Yes. So we'll just keep at this. It seems to be working okay. We'll do a bunch of them. managed to get on the outside of the bottle here. And onto my hands. Fortunately, everything is just getting the same treatment, so, you know, it's not like I'm getting the wrong color in the wrong place like I sometimes do. It's just a little messy, I guess. That's why when Nikki does this, she puts a glove on both hands, not one glove on both hands, puts one glove on each hand. You can't really put a glove on, well, you could put a glove on both hands, but then you wouldn't be able to do very much. Your hands would be all stuck together. Could do is put another glove on this hand, but I didn't, and now it's a mess and it's too late. So use the excess from the wall, get that to be uniform. Pretty clear that there's excess wash on there. We will use the excess wash from the wall. It's all spotty and ugly, and spread it around the other parts of this beast. Really want this. We don't really want like one of these things to be standing out as being too dark. Spreading the excess wash from here to another one, just to keep it moving. Okay, I think I got it more uniform there. This is a door frame. I'm going to do the floor first. Got these little side posts here. I'm not sure. Again, you know, I painted the door frame, this part here, the same color as the stone. I don't know if it'll stay that way or not, but it'll be relatively easy to paint that over with the metallic color if the door frame is metal, or with the brown if it's going to be wood. But I don't know if that decision's been made yet. So we're just leaving it this way in case we leave it the same color as the stone. Door frames. These door frames are the kind of things where you just like, oh, I got it all done, and then you look at it and think, oh, I forgot to do the back. Oh yeah, I mean, it's all done except for the big part that isn't. Can't see it really well, but there's like graining in the door frame and stuff, and wash really just picks all that up. It's a really nice job of highlighting all the surface texture that we get on these prints. Yeah, and I want them to be this compromise between uniform and highlighting the texture. Anyway, kind of what we're doing here is trying to get that aesthetic appeal that Nikki's really good at and I'm pretty mediocre at. Surfaces have something on it. So I'll do the floor. Is really not helping. I'm not sure why it's there. It's my brush cleaning cloth. Getting too much there. It's too much on the brush. It's starting to dry up a little bit. That corner block is just going to be dark. Okay, I think I got it all. Brushful, and it really piles up on the brush. So it's going to have to be spread around on the front quite a bit. So that's not medium, that's heavy. If you catch it quickly enough before it starts to set up, you can spread it out and make it look a little more uniform than it had been when you first put it on. So it's okay if it puddles up in the cracks like that between the blocks, that's just fine. It's if it puddles up too much on the surface though. Even though it dries lighter, still get too much. Okay. Turn that medium from what it was when it started. There. Just thread them on the brush. And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. The wash is fairly forgiving. Extremely forgiving. Okay. Gives you an opportunity to correct obvious mistakes. And other things to say. Yep, rain and snow today. Should talk about the weather. We always talk about the weather. So we had a couple of pretty decent days. Especially this Saturday. Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving were really nice. Sunny and warm, not much wind, but the wind picked up and it's raining and it's going to snow. So, yeah, getting winter again, winter-like. We'll do this other door frame thing. There's 3 of these in this set. And this is the second one that I'm doing. And these are just really hard to hold on to. The weirdness of the little bits of balls. Okay. Oh, I hope you're all having a decent midweek. This week's been going okay. Got a lot of stuff done on Monday on the stream, just in terms of base coating and these highlight blocks. Did a lot of highlight blocks. And we're getting really close to having production quality level sets, at least the cuts, the rough stone and the cut stone. Yesterday they were doing an inventory of what yet needed to be painted. I think everything's printed, but what yet needed to be painted to complete several sets. So Dungeon of Doom, the Necromancy Lair, Throne Room. I forget the names of all of them. Yeah, they were doing the final inventory of what yet needed to be painted. So once I expect next week I'll be doing the final bits of finishing up sets, and then maybe we can even take a look at them once they've dried. Take a look at what a set looks like. Sorry, I'm getting a little out of camera here. Got a little too much on the brush when I started the inside walls of this corner, and now I am furiously attempting to brush it off to make it medium and using that on the floor. It's like I may have succeeded. Nope. It's always good to rotate your work, because then you find the surface that you didn't even touch. It's like I missed the top there. Okay, well, this got done okay. I was a little concerned about it at first. Barely enough to get that. And do the top with squeeze that out of the brush, because otherwise that's the surface that is most likely to be forgotten. I think I'll do this one and maybe one more, and we'll see how far that goes, and then we'll give this a stir again just to make sure that the pigment is suspended appropriately in the solvent. I hope this camera thing is working. I had this tendency to get off camera quite a lot, so one solution to that is to raise the camera up so it just covers more territory. So as I move this around, instead of getting off camera, it just moves around to a different place on camera. And you can't see it quite as well because it's further away. So I hope this compromise is working. I suppose I could move it down a little closer there, but I just have to watch. To make sure that I'm not moving off camera too much. I haven't seen any places where the touching up was a failure. So it looks like after 3 passes of touch up, I might have succeeded in getting the base coat well done. Just enough ink there to get this one kind of. Watchdog is seeing something. Rated. Okay. So it looks like I've got it's like thick block, mostly floor tile, a couple corners. So I'll move them over here. Mainly so that I can move some of these others over there. Making space for the ones that haven't been done yet. And I'll give this a stir again, just to make sure it's stirred. Let's start with this door frame. This is the third one. Give it the appropriate medium look. especially medium wash this door. We got. Let me just do these floors next. Occasionally, there's a piece of floor that doesn't have a wall attached. You'd think there'd be more of them, but most dungeons, are a little confined. And so you have nooks and crannies and doors and walls and windows and all sorts of stuff. It's actually quite a large piece of floor. Okay. 10 feet by 10 feet. So, that's a lot of square footage. Two of those in the Manhattan apartment. Yeah, what I'm doing here, again, if you just joined in, if you, just want to hear repetition, is I'm doing a dark gray wash on all of the cut stone dungeon tiles that they have base coats before. So I've got the blue base coat with the highlight bricks, and this wash turns them from that to this. So they end up looking much more like stone. The gray wash on the blue looks very stony. It does a lot of highlighting on the texture of the tile. So it changes the color, textures it, and makes it look a little livelier. I guess I'll call it that. Less dull, less flat. It unflattens the look of the painted surface. Putting medium wash, not medium color, but a medium amount of wash. But we're getting to be the last of the finished rough stone tiles. I think I've got two more, and then I'll take a look again. Yeah, there's a lot on the brush there. Sometimes the medium turns out to be heavy, and then we need to brush it off and put it somewhere else, like on the floor. Always, a few seconds at least between the time you stick it on and the time it sets up to correct errors like having too much on the brush. But we just capture it on the brush and spread it around, and none of it's wasted, and the job gets done. There. Yeah. The white speck Something calling me. Okay, I think I got that. Order. I'm just going to very quickly spread it around just to make sure it doesn't glob up. Get our medium look. If it's going to pool up, I want it to pool up in these little crevices between the blocks, the mortar joints. There and there. There, because those can be darker as well. They should be. Okay, so we're getting close to being done here. I've got a floor on this piece and a single wall. I'm going to dump them. I'm going to just do one drop at a time, and if I need more, I'll squeeze more out. Space in there is always uncooperative. These little corners there, the base there between the floor and the wall and the joint down at the bottom, that needs to be dark. Okay. Yeah, so we're getting our slightly uneven, just as it should be, but not too dark a look on these. It's coming along. And this could very well be the last one of the rough stone. Even it's got down into all the little mortar joint things. Paint the top. Paint the sides. And then just enough in here to get the That, I think, was the last piece of rough stone that needed to be washed. I'm going to go over to the pile of stuff, just the huge pile of base coated tiles that I've got over on the side here, and take a look. Put this in the washing bin here and hydrate. It's just really saturated in the brush, and that's going to require some significant washing, cleaning. Basically, I don't want it to get real stiff. I don't want it to dry in the brush here. I'll wipe most of it out. I mean, it's nice that it saturates the brush because then it spreads pretty evenly. But okay, well, set this aside and I'm going to go see what we've got here. So what we have here is a whole bunch of cut stone, and I will pull one out. So you can see the difference. This is a cut stone piece, and this is a rough stone piece. Now, the texture is totally different. Uniform blocks here, non-uniform blocks here. The floor looks tiled as opposed to just rough flagstones. I tested the wash on it, so you can see that on the floor here that there's between a washed and unwashed, and it's pretty much the same color change that you go with the rough stone, except that it's texturally very different. There are a lot of these. I'm going to take an early break because I just need to move a whole lot of stuff around in order to make room. And I don't need to bore you all with that. So you all can take a break while I take a break to move these pieces to different locations so that I can begin the next process. I'm either going to be washing cut stone pieces, there's a lot that need to be done, or I'm going to be base coating a couple of pieces that we still need for the rough stone Dungeon of Doom. I'm not sure which of those, but yeah, give me about 10 minutes. There's just a lot of stuff I have to move out of the way to different places here. Okay, well, I moved all of the washed ones off to one side, and the unwashed ones I moved to another spot. So I think that's going okay. Together they look fairly uniform. So what I'm going to do, though, is we have these pieces that belong to traps. And let me, I'm going to go through again how these work. And then I'm going to base coat them so that they have a chance to dry. And then I will, if there's time left, do the accent blocks on these walls. So the way these work is they're magnetized so that you can put your ball on. And when you're playing during gameplay and you're walking through the dungeon, it looks like it's just part of the dungeon. It's just another wall, okay? But it's not. There is a substitute wall with a plate. You can see the plate and a hole. And out of that hole comes either a flame or a gas cloud. And I can demonstrate using a flame from one of the braziers. It's also magnetized. So what happens is your DM says, you have tripped a trap. And right during gameplay, into a flame trap and gets scorched for, I don't know, 6 points of fire damage probably. Okay, and this can work two ways. There's two walls. There's one with the trap and one without, so you can disguise the fact that there's a trap there. And you can either just replace it with the trap wall and then trigger the trap, okay, like during gameplay. Or you can put this one on and rotate it. And there's different reasons why you might want to do that. It depends on whether you don't want the players to know there's a trap there, right? That misses the point of the trap. So if you can see the back of the wall, okay, if you can see the back of the wall during gameplay, then you want to use this and switch them out. Because if you just rotate this, and you can see the back, you can see, oh, there's something going on there. I wonder what, and get suspicious. Do a perception check or something. So you have that option of either, if you can't see the back because it's away from all the players, you can just rotate it and then trigger the trap. Or you can substitute the blank wall for the trap wall and then trigger the trap. So it's all pretty cool. It's all magnet, so they don't fall apart on you. You can manipulate them that way. And the trap hole is magnetized as well. And either the flame or the gas cloud just pops out of there. So I'm going to base coat these. These get base coated in the same blue color that we're using for the base coat for everything else. Okay? And then I'll let them dry. And then I'm going to paint the panel where the trap comes out. Actually, no, I'm gonna paint that last, because when I put the wash on, I'm very likely to just splish it all over that. And so the last thing I'll do is I'll paint that in brass. Okay? But these guys need to be turned blue. And I think there might be, like, really close to just being enough of this blue color left to do the job. We will be finding out momentarily. If there isn't, it'll go as far as it can go. And just stirring it up. We'll go as far as we can. And then order more, I guess. I'm going to hold them onto top and bottom, set them down, and do the top. So you found with this blue paint, as it dries, flexes are really in the way. Can't see it. I use them to see further away. Kind of a pain sometimes up close. Trifocal kinds of things, so can never quite get the location right. Make sure basically I'm getting the paint into all of these nooks and crannies here, covering the texture of the block, getting into the mortar joints. There isn't much paint left, so I don't want to waste a lot, so we'll just plug away at it, and then we'll go back and do the accent blocks. And then do a blue touch-up, and then they get washed, and then the trap panel gets painted. There. It does not want to get painted. Duck way down in there. Flip this around. Maybe because I'm not using enough paint, it doesn't seem to be covering very well. So I guess I will be less gentle with paint. So otherwise I'll use up just as much trying to touch it up as I would getting a good base coat layer on to begin with. These trap walls are a really cool invention. They're set up can make gameplay really pretty cool because you're moving through this dungeon and you really can't tell that it's there. Then you don't just pretend there's a trap, like you don't just have to pretend that there's flame coming out of the wall. You can actually create the situation where there is a flame coming out of the wall. It's pretty cool. Okay, so we got this. I'm going to set it down and paint the top of it. And I have to pretty much paint that where I set it, so I'm sorry if that's off camera. But keep touching the paint surface any more than I absolutely have to hold it in place while I put the paint on, because there, can't really see it, but the glove pulls the paint away from the surface, and there's no other way to hold it. I could try this, but then I have to pull it off. Give this a try. Let's see if it works on this or not. These things tend to have a lot of surface area and kind of pushing the paint onto them. So these don't always hold as well as fingers. but it might work well enough. I've got 2 of them, so I can paint this one, stick the other wall on the next one, and hopefully this will be dry enough, or at least the part that I grabbed to pull it off will be dry enough. Not pull the paint away from the surface when I pull it off the holder. The trap panel there, that will be painted brass, I guess. That's going to be the trap panel color, and that will be pretty much the very last thing that's painted. So the steps are going to be get the base coat on, the blue, do the accent blocks in the brown, do the blue touch-up, because there's always spots that form need to be touched up. Do the dark gray wash, and then paint the trap panel. So the many steps, in addition to the printing and the priming, that go into completing one dungeon tile. There's a lot of texture that needs to be painted. Brush down into the nooks and crannies. Leave as few spots. Oh, yeah. In relation to the surface area that needs to be painted, piece that the holder, the sticky tack just didn't hold up. Maybe it'll work better on the next one. Let's see. Texture on the top here. The 3D printer basically just swirls around on the top and gives it a really nice rough stone texture, which looks good on camera and during gameplay. It was a little bit challenging to get paint onto. The things that we're going to experiment with in the future is using the airbrush to actually do the base coat as well as the priming. Let's see how that works. We're not going to do that now. We don't have that much paint left. paint all over me doing that. You know, we'll keep trying. If it just doesn't work, then we'll just pick it up and hold it by hand and do our best. These holders work really well for minifigs. They got these nice, you know, usually these nice big round bases, so it covers the whole thing. There's a lot of surface area that adheres. They don't weigh very much. You're not pushing paint into little nooks and crannies with a big brush. You're barely touching it with teeny little brushes. But with bigger things like this, not quite as effective. Something at the bottom, it looks like where paint kind of gets lost in the adhesive. Okay, that's just not working. So, mess here. I'll just hold it like this and rub the paint on it and set it down on the table and paint the top like I did the very first one. Yeah, it was worth a try. But sometimes you try an experiment and it doesn't work out. Oh, this ends up being a little messier, but it gets the job done. Without too much drama. A little messier than I'd like it to be. I should have put a glove on my other hand, but I didn't. Okay. Got this here. In the corner, and paint the top. And touch up. I put my glove because that'll almost certainly pull some paint away from. Okay, well, we got one more of those, so let's get to it. Yeah, it's Wednesday. We are continuing to work on some massive dungeon sets. I made printed here on the 3D printers that you can see and possibly hear behind me. So we print all of these tiles here and prime them in a box over to my left, and then hand paint them. In this particular case, using a blue undercoat, brown accent blocks, and a dark gray wash to make them look very stony. They actually come out looking pretty nice. Depending on how things go here, should be able to do some more gray washing. This is a rough stone. I just washed a whole bunch of those earlier today. And the next things to be done are cut stones. But I'm taking a break from the washing in order to get the base coat on these so that they can dry, so that I can do the accent blocks, so that I can do the wash. And I didn't get this base coat blue on today. The whole process would be delayed, because I want this to, you want this blue base coat, paint the accent blocks over the tops of this color. You want this to be pretty dry before you start putting another color paint over it, because that's just asking for a mess. The paint either bleeds into or pulls away the base coat that's under it. So, I want these to set probably until Monday. I believe we are not going to be streaming this Friday. We're taking this Friday off because we have some veterinary things that we need to be doing on Friday, and appointments for that are going to be like 45% into the usual stream time. Okay. Really barely kind of get started when we have to stop and head over to the vet. But in recognition of that, we will not be streaming Friday, but we'll be picking up again on Monday. Okay, so this is the base, the wall, this little pin here. There's a hole in the base of the wall that sets on here, and that holds it, that positions it, and then these magnets hold it in place. Basically, I'm going to be painting this floor tile like any other floor tile, doing my best to get the paint in and cover all the inner surfaces of these blocks. We don't want those showing bright white on the screen. Anyway, we just want it to look right, and so I want to get the paint way down in there. Because even if the wash doesn't cover it later, those would really show. I'm going to paint these, including this part, because you want everything to look uniform. Almost out of paint. The paint that's left is a little bit viscous, and so it pulls away from the work surface really easily. Want that to be happening. And put a little more paint on than I would really like to, just to make sure that the paint gets onto the surface and stays there. Again with the brush, and it pulls it away. So you can really Brush it once. The back of this is actually pretty important. That is the base of the ball that sits on there. That definitely has to be painted so that when the ball is on there, you can't tell that it looks like it's just one solid piece. Like that. Otherwise, it would give away the trap, and we don't want that. That needs to be a surprise. That's why it's called a trap. You're minimizing touch-up later, hopefully. To get the front of this, so I need to grab. I'm just gonna lean it over the edge and paint it this way. Looks like it's mostly covered. Okay. The downside of this is where I will do my next piece of work, and there's stuff in the way, but yeah, we'll figure that out. So, just touching on a little bit. Yep. Didn't work, so we'll catch that on touch up. There's a lot of touching up to do on these, which we will do after we do the accent blocks. Okay, how are we doing on time here? It is just noon. Okay, we're only halfway through. Okay, well, I'm going to just do a whole bunch more washing. That's what needs to be done. Going back to these tiles, these are the cut stone tiles. Starting to wash those. I did a test wash on one of the floors, so that's what it looks like after the wash. Yeah, I'll just go at it. I'll do my best to keep it medium. Okay, no, what I haven't done is when I moved all these tiles into a position to be washed, is I didn't leave a whole lot of space for those that have been washed. I'm hoping that I do an okay job here. I don't want to have to go back and rebase coat all of these because the wash didn't get on uniform enough or something. But we'll give it a go. Here we go. Here to get it into the mortar joints that way. Back into it this way. Yeah, no. Brush it over because I don't want it to be too splotchy. I want it to look, since it's cut stone, I want it to look fairly uniform. Okay. with the rough stone, it was kind of okay. In fact, kind of a feature to have some stones maybe darker than others, or to have the wash kind of pile up in some of the contours. This, I want it to look like that, okay? And there's little divots and things in the brick, but that brings it to life. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing. But the rest of this, hopefully, effectively. So we'll get into the mortar joints. Way too much on there. And then we'll spend a fair amount of time brushing it off. Too much on the brush there, clearly. More than enough for the floor, probably enough to do another one. But I need to get this off here and onto something else before it sets up too far. I did the front pretty well. Back, I think I saved it. And then I don't want this to pile up on the floor that much either. I don't want it to look this gusty. This might be like a palace, and we want the floors to look nice. Doing the same thing as I'm brushing across it to try to make sure that it looks pretty uniform. Divots and things, that's good. Brush marks there. I don't really want those. I'm not sure what to do about that now. See how much they show when it dries. I think I succeeded in getting medium on this wall, and I learned a little lesson about what needs to be done to make that happen. Need to get the ink wash down in all those crevices between the blocks. We don't want too much on the surface, otherwise it looks less like a palace and more like just tiles. So, the edges. Just keep trying that. Blocks, which is nice. I can brush across that pretty effectively. Without pulling it away or making it look bad. So it takes a little, to brush over it a couple of times, but that technique seems to be working as long as I'm careful about how much I put on the surface initially. It's the one I just did. This is the one I tested out. I'm just going to put another brush, real light brushing of it over, because I think it didn't look the same. And you get the color kind of uniform. Plain floor tile. Medium pink. Hoping these floors turn out to be fairly uniform, because when you put them all together, it has some variation in the tiles of the tile floor. But if you have too much variation from one block to the next, it doesn't look that good. So anyway, I'm a little concerned about that. If these floor tiles just brushed just right, and whatever that means. This inside corner is a little bit of a challenge in terms of getting the median uniformity in the block. There's not much surface to brush across. It's working. they're coming out mostly okay. I'm having actually more luck with the bricks, getting a kind of a nice uniform coverage than with the floors. But I think that's just because of the nature of the print and the way I'm able to move the wash around on it. Brush across and it becomes uniform. Between the mortar lines there between the box and then brushing across to get the uniform look that we're going for. Getting too many puddles or anything like that. A little more challenging on the floors. I think I'll get it next though. The trick is to not have too much wash on the brush. You know, and if worse comes to worse, we can always just repaint the base coat on a couple of these and rewash them if we need to get the uniform look that we want. Do this, and take this and rub the wash into the tile to make sure I get all the little nooks and crannies, and then brush across like I did with the bricks, basically. And then the brush marks I don't think show very much, so I think I'm safe that way. I think these are coming along okay. This is a cool piece. This is an arrow slit. We fire arrows, you know, through it, and there's an arrow on the outside, just a little slit. So if you wanted to, like a defensive situation, keep kind of situation, or castle. Arrow slit, or firing arrows in a defensive way against attackers. Getting the uniform look on this is a little more challenging because I don't have one big surface to go across. Back's a little easier because there's just a tiny slit there. Simply working it gets the surface, the brick surface, kind of uniform and smooth, and leaves some puddles in the spaces between the blocks, which is where we to be darker. So let's do another floor. We're working it into the crevices, especially the little white dots that sometimes show up. Seems to work. And then giving it a brush to smooth it out. That is now the floor technique that I will be using. Yeah, so an arrow slip one. We've got a corner. After I do this corner, I'm going to give this a stir again to just make sure that the pigment is suspended nicely in the solvent. We will try the inside of the corner. Brush across kind of thing again, trying to make sure that there aren't too many puddles, but discoloring the blocks. To get this floor go. It was being brushed over. Puddles on the top here. Yeah, it's going to get a little dark right there. Base some varnish by just cleaning it off there. working off the front because otherwise they'll fall off. Doing this because there's little pinholes and stuff in the floor, and this way I can work into them. Instead of being bright spots, they will be dark spots, at least more or less. And then I'll brush across to give it the uniformity of coverage that we're trying to get. Here, I'm going to do the floor first, and then the inside corner pillar last. These inside pillars are tough to get. I discovered if there's too much wash on the brush because there's no place to put it after you put it on here. So I'm just gonna almost dry brushing it on. Let's try to get that uniform look again. Sides. Is there enough to do the sides? No. Okay, we'll stir this up and get those. That I put there because there wasn't, anyway, they needed to go there because there wasn't any other place to put them and be able to paint the tops. But fortunately, I think they're dry enough that it isn't marring the paint. Okay, I think this one's okay. Put that there. This one is also a cool piece. This is an arched window. Let's see how this goes. Push it across. Use the stuff I'm brushing off to get the insides. I have to make sure I get the insides of the window because those will show. I want them to look like the rest of it as well. Really sure how long it burned because I don't think I dipped it in, but it held a lot of wash. And I've got a very dark back here that needs to be cleaned up. And that's going to be put on the floor. Hopefully that will work. The uniform is way too much. This one, it was going okay, and then it wasn't. That'll be okay up front. Most of the stuff that's puddled up is puddled in the lines between the blocks, and that's okay. I think this one will be all right. Okay. This is just a plain old wall. Haven't had just a plain old wall in a while. Between the bricks, that into the side, and then brushing across to get uniform on the surface of the blocks. See that it puddles up in the space between the blocks, which is fine because we want those, for the most part, to be darker than the surface of the bricks, just to add to the ritual. These are bricks. Not too bad. Again, using the technique of kind of swirling it into the little dimples. There's little dimples all over the floor. If this stuff gets into it, that's fine, because that's where we push across it, just to try to get it uniform on the surface. Okay, here we have another one of those arrow slits. A throne room set. And as such, it has the opportunity to have archers provide some protection in case there's a rowdy crowd outside. Yeah. That which seems to be working okay to get the wash down into the little dimples. I'm kind of liking how that like those. That seems to be the best way to get it in there. And then I can brush across the top to make the surface look a little more natural. A little white spot down in there. Yeah, doesn't show too badly. Corner. Squeeze out some more of the ink here and a little wash. Some that gathers up in the top there. To brush it out evenly before it sets up. Let's have to paint the side here. Okay. Thing down into the grooves, vertical and horizontal, and then paint this, brush the surface to get a more uniform look. Really spilled in. Dots to make it uniform. Finish off the edges. Catch the really bad bubble there. Okay, we'll just keep throwing them up. Okay, this one, I'll show you these blocks. This is a step up. The main floor is at this height here, and then there's a step up to a dais. So in this case, the wall is actually below the floor. Interesting. Because we have stepped up into a higher level of floor, and in the set design there is a throne, or the opportunity for a throne to be set up there, step above the regular floor. I think we played around with this, so we'll see how it works. We've even created a carpet that leads up to the throne. And sometimes once we get so that it doesn't curl around the edges and lays flat, I think we print them and cut them. They come out to look pretty good. They're felt backed, so they have a little heft to them, but they're real fabric. They're real fabric carpets. So they're pretty cool. The ink that washed down into the little divots where it needs to go. Weird looking, I'm sure, from the top. Not exactly how you normally use a brush, but it works to get the wash down into those holes to be dark. Here, put it somewhere, so I'm putting it on this other floor. This is the step up floor. This is the I have stepped up floor. Yep. And cut stone as the walls. But we need to wash them in here. That would be almost the place where I forgot to do the wash. Tippy top steps. Checking to see if I got all the surfaces on this one. Okay. Yeah. This is another having stepped up dais kind of thing. like a little wall under the floor. And then the same, but using basically the same washing technique as for the other walls, which is to work it into the mortar joints and then to brush across it to get a uniform. And then we'll do the floor. Little pits and crevices, and then brush across it in both directions to give it as uniform a look as we can get. Big spot there that I would like to be more of a black spot. The white spot is because nothing is getting in there. But anyway, yeah, there's another one of those. I think I'll do 2 more and I'll give this a stir again. Two of the 3 over. Pretty good. There's 1 left. Maybe I'll just knock it over just for the symmetry of it. Okay. And this is another one of those step-ups. Step it up. Lids, and then we'll do got the front, so I just need to do the floors. Next to the wall. I think I'm gonna, this is moving along pretty well. My back is starting to hurt a little bit. Well, sitting on a stool. Brush this evenly. These single walls go really quickly. That's pretty nice. You have to get around the bends of the corner. Just one big flat surface, brush across the whole thing. You need to make a dungeon set with no corners, just a wall. That'll be the wall dungeon. Just in case they show, we don't want them to be a bright spot. Okay, we'll set that in there, and we'll give this a stir again. And what do we got here? A corner. Any corners. Yeah, one set. There's one set that I think has like one floor square tile. Start walls. And most of the walls are corners. I'm not really even sure how that's designed. It's like there's no place to stand, right? Well, it looked really good. But when it came time to paint it, it was, and where are the easy tiles? Well, this washing is going pretty well. It looks okay. I'm getting it to be fairly uniform. At least once, go over it and clean off the surface of the blocks. Use the surplus to work into the other side. I can't hear the phone. It's ringing again. midterms are over, at least here in Michigan. So I would think that, you know, we'd be done with the polls and the solicitations and requests for this and that and the other thing. I think we're probably getting Medicare scams now is probably what we're getting. Using for that too. What's next? Another corner. This was too much on the top there. I'm just going to dab it off a little bit. Sometimes that works. Ran out of wash just in time to give that medium wash look. And places are I'm going to be taking some of the bottle cap there because it kind of oozed off onto it. So use it on the model and dungeon tile as opposed to my fingers when I grab it. So I missed this side. Blush it. See if I can make it go somewhere else. In the floor in this other corner, just with the excess from this floor. At least that way I can get them, you know, as you can see, if you can see it all, there was enough there to make them look uniform, or at least close to each other. There. Inside walls here. think those are okay. Some work on the outside. That's then I've got one side wall to do, and then this tile, and then we have a whole nother set. Let's see if I can get started on. For some reason, look at that. This has just started to squeeze out badly. It is now behaving badly, whereas before it was not too bad. Behaving badly, and that's what we got now. Brush, and I'm going to have to brush a lot of that off onto the floor here. Let's see this tile in just a minute, but I need to clean this up because it's kind of bad. You can start to see it. This is a double door, which is kind of a cool thing. There are two doors that open in the center and swing out. So it's very regal looking. Not a very good defensive situation. I couldn't say that if you wanted to be defending something inside that room, that you would put big double doors up, but if you wanted to make a presence, grand entrance kind of situation, then they would work. So put that aside and finish up this floor here with what we've got before it sets up too far. So this is like the single doors that we were looking at before, except that it is a 2x4 instead of a 2x2, and it's got these little walls and lintels and door frames, excuse me. It will attempt to make look good. Putting it into these nooks and cranny kind of places. This one was not touched up very well. There's a couple of bright spots. There's one there that was really not good. Right up here, looks like something maybe bumped it after it was painted. We'll see if that's an issue later. If so, we'll just fix it. I think that looks okay. think we got this, except for that spot. And the top here. Okay, well, what I'm going to be doing now is short break. Because I need to move things around again. Things that are where things need to go. So, let's set this down. I'll be back in not very long. So that wasn't very long. I just needed to move all of those pieces off to the side and to bring in this other set. This other set, and it's these really cool curved walls. But it's basically the same color scheme. So I'll be diving into that. It also has these walls with these fire sigils that I had painted a couple days ago. There's 3 of these. These are cool. I'm going to have to be careful doing the, I can't just on these because that would mess up all those really pretty sigils. So when I do those, I'll have to be a little more cautious. So let's give this another stir. I'm getting it everywhere again. So let's start with one of these and let's see how it goes. And the same technique. I'm going to just get it into the crevices and then brush across it to make it look uniform. These have unlike the flat walls, the 2x2 single walls, these have a lot of surface area. Just need to be, a little more patient in the brushing. Make sure that I get the uniformity across the entire surface. Excuse me. Kind of chilly down here. That's After like 3 hours of being in a chilly basement, your nose running. Okay, so I think that looks okay. It's a good medium coat. And we'll go to the other side. Do the outside and do the same sort of thing. It's a big surface area here. So I'm going to move kind of quickly, because I don't want this to just set up on me before I have a chance to brush across and make it look uniform. Mediumly uniform. Here, put the excess up on the top. Looks like that was successful. Got 3 more of these and then a gigantic one. It'll be interesting. Okay. Didn't make it all the way to the floor, only made it to the shelf on the workbench. Same idea. Let's do the floor here. Same sort of scrub it in kind of thing and then brush it out. So far that's been working to give it a pretty uniform look. So there's one down. Here's another one. Working into the mortar lines. And then brush across it to give it that uniform look. They're going for the excess over on the sides. I think there's enough here to do the back. We'll squeeze some out. Do that quickly before we get all set up here. Yeah. Brush across. The excess on the sides. Excuse me. Definitely a major. My nose is getting chilled kind of situation here. This floor. Use the excess to begin to do the floor on an inside corner. I'll move that in a second. This is an inside corner. It's just got this one post, and walls go up against it on either side. dripping off the floor there, and I think there'll be enough wash coming off the floor to finish a single post. We're close to it anyway. But I want to get that uniform, or as close to it as I have been. Successful so far. Okay. So we'll do post, which represents an inside corner, where two walls come together on either side. Or it could just be a post. I mean, you could just set floor tiles on the sides of it, and you could just have a, you know, for some reasons, just a pillar of brick, or cut stone and a brick. This thing, too dark there, too much. We'll set those aside. And let's do a doorway. Done these before. It's mainly a floor with these door frames on it. Wipe that off a little bit later. It's kind of gumming up in the nozzle there. Putting the frames, in order to get the insides of them, and the little bits of brick on either side that are holding them together. Forgot the base here. Anyway, put in here. Work it into the brick crevices there. And the jewels. We got another one of these inside corners, so I'm going ahead and just do that. Brush just picked up a huge amount. I mean, it just went, just absorbed it. So I'm going to do this corner at the same time because there's way too much wash on this. It's weird to brush down into the little well in the palette, and it just absorbed it. Just sucked it up like a sponge. Here, try to get this salvaged. so to speak. Brushing off the excess here. I think I got that without it becoming too dark. Just reduce it a little bit and make it look like the others. This one looks okay. Okay. Dip the brush too far into the little well of wash because it'll suck it up. Excuse me. Yeah, just dripping away. Right here. Yeah, we'll go from having too much to just not quite enough. Once again. And we'll brush this off to make it, like we've been talking about before, as close to medium wash uniform as we can. This one just seems to come out darker than the others. Maybe it'll be okay. It could just be that the absorbent, so reducing the amount of wash. What I'm going to do next using a stain, can sometimes just wipe it down, is this gigantic 4x4 round, half-quarter round of wall. There's two of them in the set, really. This is one. Obviously, it's not both. And this makes for a really cool kind of back area. And put both of them together and then get this like rotunda almost. The other one is yet to be primed. Here, trying to pick up the excess. Putting it on the not yet touched. do the back using the same kind of technique that we've been using on everything else. It should be enough here to spread pretty much across the whole thing. Big surface area in the back here. And it looks like I'm a little, no, I don't know, it's really close. And how the uniformity thing works out here. I'm going to need more anyway for the floor and for the other tiles, so squeeze a little bit more out. And I want to brush across this. Get the excess off the brush. Here. I've got a big area. Be really quickly smushing it in all over here like this, getting it into the little nooks and crannies and dimples and crevices, and then brushing across it to give it the more uniform look that we're going for. There is one giant 4x4 corner. Now what I've got left, right, there's only like 3 pieces left, but they're going to be a little more delicate. So I'm going to start here with one of these sigils. Do the back first, because I want the brush to be more under control in terms of how much wash there is on it. Because there isn't much opportunity to brush this away if there's too much. Sigil real carefully here. It's still getting wash. There when I do the floor. Too much here. That okay. And the back is done, yep. So then I just need to do the floor. Yeah, on the bottom of the sigil that I can just brush under. There we go. There's 2 more of these and a cauldron. I think that turned out okay. The next one, do the back first, just to get the brush going here. the bad spot. Right up. That's just really a mess. I need to touch that up real quickly with some blue paint, and then we're gonna have to come back and just give that a touch, a little touch of wash later. But what happened here was that was originally painted blue. And then I painted that the color of the accent block because I didn't like the way it looked, and apparently the paint got rubbed off before it dried or didn't cover or something. So I'm just going to paint this over. We'll come back to that later, but that was a flaw on a sigil block, and I don't want that. See if we could get that later. If not, it's not going to show very much, but it could not. Let's do that. Just doing the same thing here, working the paint into the wash into the nooks and crannies on the floor, and then brushing off the excess, more or less, much of it anyway, to give it a more uniform look as the rest of them have. Okay, and then we got one more. So again, let's start on the back. The stuff on the sides. Carefully each the area around the less lighter sigils. We want that to have, you don't want it to look weird compared to the rest of the wall, especially where these two walls meet. So, yeah, it doesn't take much, but it's important to get that done. And we'll do the floor. And we're almost done with all of the tiles that need to be washed. In fact, I only see one more. And that is the cauldron. Let's touch this up a little. Okay, so this cauldron's cool. It goes in the center of the room, and the flame I showed you before goes into the center of it. And that is pretty nice, so that you walk in and you can see the cauldron, and then the magic is performed and the flame appears. That's also good, for the role playing that you do. A really cool thing about this dungeon set is that you don't walk in, flame already burning. Well, the wizard or sorcerer or whoever goes, "Oh, I'm making the flame," and then you have to pretend you didn't see it until then. Flame on. Okay, you have to pretend it wasn't there, or alternatively, flame on, and you have to pretend that there's a flame when there isn't. In this case, second, let me just finish getting this around the edges of the floor here. In this case, when you say flame on, ta-da, flame comes out. That goes in there, it's magnetized, it actually holds pretty well. Flame off, flame on, flame off, flame on. Pretty cool accent piece, actually, for your dungeon set. I think that looks good. I am done with the wash, because I don't see any more that need to be washed, at least not today. There's about a half hour left, so what I'm going to do is, remember those pieces that I base coated with glue before? Well, they need a huge amount of touch up. I mean, if you look at them, you can see that there's just flaws all over them. So I'm going to just take a few minutes here near the end of this stream to use some of the paint that's left and start on the huge amount of touch-up that needs to be done. I said that I would be doing the touch-up after I did the blocks, the accent blocks, but there is so many flaws in the paint that I probably would have to, it would just be a mess. I'd be painting over the accent blocks and things like that. So I'm just going to take care of the major issues now, and no doubt I will see more when I do the accent blocks. Just as when I was doing the wash, I saw some spots, one really bad spot, but I saw some spots that needed some fixing that had to be done just even during the washing. So I'll get these major spots out of the way, and then I will do the less obvious or missed spots when I do the accent blocks next week. So just as a reminder, we will not be streaming this Friday. We're taking Friday off because we have some vet things to do with our dogs, and that would be happening right during the middle of the stream. So instead of doing just a tiny little bit of a stream and then interrupting it, who knows where along the process, we're just going to skip Friday so we can take care of our vet business, and hopefully you will then join us again on Monday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, for relaxing painting with Dice and Dungeons. We also hope that you can join us on our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, an ongoing campaign that streams on Twitch on Sundays, 3 Sundays a month anyway, at 2 o'clock. If you miss that, you'll miss the live chat, but you can listen to the stream. There's a lot of dialogue, so you don't have to see what's going on in order to imagine what's going on. You can hear it. You can catch that as a podcast, and you can also watch or rewatch our episodes on YouTube. So we hope you're willing to do that. If you really like what you see and you want to support Dice and Dungeons, we invite you to join our Patreon. That's patreon.com/diceanddungeons. That would be a wonderful thing if someone was willing to help us out that way and support the stream and our Dice and Dungeons campaign. Otherwise, just join in on almost every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 until 2, more or less. Sometimes 10:10 or 10:15 until 1:47. Not always exactly 10 until 2, but mostly. To watch this relaxing painting as we continue to finish up our dungeon sets. We'll be doing this for quite a while because there's a lot of them, and occasionally we do minifigs. Just finished our level 5 characters a little while ago. Okay, well, yeah, these are really all just really a mess. So it's good that I'm touching these up because there will be another round of touch up for sure. Maybe it's because the paint is almost low in the jar. I'll use that as an excuse for why there is so much of this that needs to be retouched. And what I'll be doing then on Monday, and coming back to these tiles, is there'll probably be a bunch more that'll be primed that will need to be base coated. And these, like here, will need to have their accent blocks painted in, and they will need to be washed so that they match all the rest of those that I did today. Just dabbing paint all over the place because there's little spots that didn't get covered practically everywhere on these. And get them now, the easier it will be when I get back to these on here. So there's one more wall. The downside of putting it on the holder is that it doesn't get painted on the bottom. The upside is that it doesn't get on everywhere else, all the hands and fingers and everything. I managed to get a lot of paint on me today. Just a little brush to try to get into the nooks and crannies that got missed with the bigger brush. Lots of spots. I'm probably getting like 90% of the spots, and when we do the accent blocks next week, the ones that show.
even doing 2 or 3 bouts of touch-up. I noticed there were some spots on the ones that I was washing today that, they were little, and having not seen them 3 times, they were hard to see anyway, but they were there. It's just the way it is. We'll see what happens when we try to use the airbrush to the base coat. We'll see if that works. At least in terms of getting the paint more uniformly spread and into all these little crevices and stuff. I don't know. It might work better. It might not work at all. We'll find out sometime in the future. Those are the corners where I was holding it. So we knew those needed to be touched up. Okay, so we are getting to the end of this particular stream. Hope you enjoyed the relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons as we continued to work on the dungeon sets. Today I was washing them. I did some base coating on a couple of pieces here, trap tiles, but otherwise spent most of the time putting a gray wash on all those things that I had base coated over the preceding episodes. Okay, well, that's enough of that. There's still a little bit of paint left in there. I'll probably drop a little bits of thinner in there just to get to the bottom, the pigments that are left in the bottom. I think that might salvage a fair amount of paint, at least for the touch-up parts. And so I'm just washing out the touch-up brush here, and then I'll see what I can do about washing out the washing brush. It holds a lot of pigments. You can see the dark color in there, as opposed to the golden brown color of the bristles. This one just might have to soak in some thinner. I think I might give this a wash in a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, just because it's holding a lot of pigment in the bristles. That'll dry in there, and then the brush will be really stiff and harder to clean the next time. So I'll do that when we're done with the stream, which will be in just a couple of minutes. So let me make sure this is zipped side. Yeah. So let me turn the camera. There's many dungeon tiles that were watched today. Now they look more stone-like. Yeah, okay. Nice sore back today. Achy. Thanks for joining in. I hope you relaxed with relaxing painting. We will be skipping Friday, coming back on Monday, starting at 10, more or less, give or take a couple of minutes, depending on how setup goes. Monday we'll resume working on dungeon tiles. I'll be doing some accent block painting. I'll be doing some more washing, and I'll be doing a little touch-up. We will maybe show you how some of these sets come together. There may be more blocks that have been primed. I see that there's a few over to my left. Those will have a different base coat color than these. Oh, and then there's a whole doing all that washing. And there's like a virtually complete set over there that needed to be washed that wasn't on the table. So if nothing else, I've got like a necromancer lair kind of set that can be washed. It's the rough stone dungeon pieces like the ones I had done at the beginning of the show. So there's plenty to do. More dungeon tiles starting Monday. Be taking Friday off. Join us on our Dice and Dungeons and Dragons stream Sunday if you possibly can. If not, catch us on YouTube later. We'll see you. Thanks so much. Bye.